Hello, everyone. Welcome to this webinar for Mimic Entrepreneurship for high school. Thank you all for joining us today. My name is Andy Emmelkamp. I'm an assistant product marketing manager here at Stu Kent, and we're coming to you live from Idaho Falls. So go ahead and post in the chat where everyone's from. We'll see who's the furthest away and all that. Ooh, we got New Jersey, Washington, Houston, Texas. Awesome to hear. Kind of all parts, all over the US. That's sweet. So, just in case none of y'all have been to a Stucan event before, if throughout the event you have any questions, any concerns, comments, feel free to type them in the chat. During the presentation, I'll be recording all the questions down and make sure we answer as many as we can. Kind of how this event is going to go is I, of course, am introducing everyone, and I'll talk over some business matters, and then we're going to have our own Joseph Ovard, who's going to walk us through the simulation, show us all the features, how it works, all that kind of fun stuff, the stuff you're really here for. And then we're going to have Travis come on, and he'll talk about how you guys can get the simulation in your classrooms. And then kind of with that, we'll do a little Q&A, and you'll be good to go. So we're also giving away prizes for this event. So for everyone that's attending the event, as long as you attended and you engage a little bit in the chat, you're going to be entered into a raffle to win a Yeti water bottle. And then for the next 3 weeks, the first 20 people to be demoed on Mimic Entrepreneurship will get a $20 Amazon, Starbucks, or if you're in the East Coast, Dunkin' Donuts gift card. And then at the end of this event, we're also giving away a free entrepreneurship assignment that you guys can use in your classroom. So we'll go ahead and get started with Joseph, if he'll hop on stage.
How's it going? Can everybody hear me? Give me a little thumbs up in the chat or perfect. All right. I want to make sure everybody could hear me okay. Let me share my screen and I will walk you through one of the most exciting simulations. I've been with Stu Kent for over 4 years now, and I am so excited for this simulation. It's really, really cool. I mean, a little bit of background on me. My degree, my bachelor's degree, was like a business management degree, but it was a focus on entrepreneurial management, and so I studied entrepreneurship in college. And now I went back and I'm an adjunct instructor at that same university, teaching for that same program. So through school and through teaching in this program, I've never seen a simulation, even at the college level, that mimics so well the beginning stages of a company and getting things started, everything from getting angel investors and everything, all the way through doing market research and finding a real target customer persona, to designing the product, manufacturers, distribution, advertising, just the whole thing, as far as like kind of creating and starting that business. So getting right into the simulation, each round is going to have kind of a similar introduction for each round. I'll kind of walk you through what that looks like. But it's a really exciting sim, and it's a really realistic in how things get started as far as an entrepreneurial endeavor goes. So starting off, here's the simulation. This is the student view. So I'm with an instructor account. I'm previewing the simulation as a student. So there's some features in here I'll kind of explain that are available to you as an instructor or as a teacher that aren't available to students. I'll kind of explain those as I go. One in particular as far as navigating between different rounds. So right off the bat, when students log in and launch the simulation, This is the page that they're going to go to their first time in. Later on, when they go into the simulation again later on, they will have, they'll go to the round that they're currently in. But the introduction round, basically, this is the student walkthrough video for Mimic Entrepreneurship. It's under 3 minutes long. It kind of gives them a basic introduction into navigation. Here's where your resources are, things like that. And then just a look at the learning objectives. And here's the experience that your students are going to gain. At the very end of the simulation, they'll get a certificate kind of showing the experience that they gained in the simulation as well. So the very first thing they're going to do is watch that video just to kind of get an overview. Each round of the simulation, including the introduction round, they'll have an inbox where they're going to get emails from important people that are going to help them throughout the process. So the first one that they get, so the storyline of this simulation is Ben Templeton here is an investment fund manager at Altruistic Angels. It's a startup cohort where they help businesses kind of launch and get started. So Ben Templeton will give you some resources right off the bat. He's the fund manager. And he'll have a really good email to kind of a welcome email and, hey, I'm excited to help you grow the business and things like that. He talks about Carla, who will be the person who will be interacting with the most in the simulation. So if we go to who our supervisors are at Altruistic Angels, the investment fund manager, Ben Templeton, and our investment advisor, Carla. So she's the one that's going to be kind of guiding us through videos and things like that through that first part of or throughout the simulation, kind of getting our business off the ground. Now, this simulation is a little bit unique in that there's an assignment at during the introduction round at the very beginning, before they even really start round one. So I believe this is optional. I think it will let them run the simulation before they do it, but we have a questionnaire. It's like, we've set some expectations, really take time to think about your answers, provide a minimum of 3 complete sentences for each sentence. So at least one small paragraph for each question, each prompt. And they're given a word processor and they're able to answer those questions and finish this little write-up that they're supposed to do. So it's totally up to you how you want to grade that. Because you'll be able to see all of these as the instructor. You can go into the round and actually see the actual write-up that the students turn in and grade it from there, or however you want to do that. You can even have them turn it in outside of the actual simulation if you want, but it's there for students to kind of process and think through why they want to be an entrepreneur right off the bat before they even jump into the simulation itself. So like Andy said, I'm not currently watching the chat, but please chat in with any questions. We're going to do a big long Q&A at the end to make sure everybody's questions get answered. So students' navigation will all be on the left-hand side here, and they'll be able to navigate between the left-hand side, the back and continue button. And if they're done with the round, they click either get started now or run simulation. And it will give them a little prompt. If they've done everything they're supposed to do, it will just say either keep working or get started now, or run simulation, depending on the round that they're in. And they'll be able to, but if there is something that they haven't completed in the round, it will prompt them saying, hey, you haven't completed this yet. Go do that before you run the round, or are you sure you want to go without finishing this part, that kind of thing. So we're going to jump right into round one. So this is Carla. Each week, students are going to get a little video from Carla. I think most of them are between 1 and 2 minutes long. They're really not that long at all. It just kind of gives them a brief overview of what their assignments are for this round, and the tasks that they have, the resources that they have that they might need to finish their assignments. So each round in the simulation will have the first 3 tabs will always be the same. They'll have a scenario video to watch. They'll have an inbox with a message from usually Carla, and sometimes there'll be some really important things. She gives you some guidance on, because this first round they're purchasing market research and designing a survey, and they're given some guidance on specific things they want to know from that market research. And they're also given an investment contract. So there's a few different ways that students can access this. They could download it. This will open it up in a different tab, or they can download it or view it in their browser, however they want to do it. But anything that they will need for any particular round will be in their resources drawer. So they can download them and have them separate, or they can click on resources right here, and anything that they need is right here. So they've got business feedback from Altruistic Angels. They've got the investment contract and what the payback terms are going to be for the $75,000 investment, for 20% of ownership. And also Ben gives you some feedback on your business plan. So this will all kind of guide them in how they're going to run their business. So each round, again, they'll have a scenario, they'll have an inbox, and they will have a notifications hub. Now, for this particular simulation, as part of the Altruistic Angels cohort, students are going to respond and give advice to other aspiring entrepreneurs or other entrepreneurs that are starting to build their own businesses. And so they'll present you with a question. You will answer that question to the best of your knowledge, and you will get immediate feedback on your answers. So I've already responded to these ones, but they'll get instant feedback. So it is important to note that this interaction is not graded, or it's not scored in the simulation automatically. It's not something that you go back and view as the instructor as part of their grade, but it's more like a knowledge check. They'll get instant feedback. Sometimes it's, hey, that's not quite right. You might want to present it this way. It's just kind of checking their knowledge and giving them that instant feedback for how they would answer that question. But that will be there each round. So now in this round one, so that's kind of the basic scenarios. I'm going to kind of skip ahead of that from now on, so we can kind of get through the rest of the simulation before we take up all the time. So this round, they're purchasing market research from a company called Reynolds Research. There's a few things that students will want us to pay attention to. For my choices and when I played through, I purchased one piece of or one specific piece of research that was published. There's a specific date it was published, and sometimes it's a specific region, sometimes it's a specific demographic. So that we were given in our email the specific answers that we wanted from our research, that there's two ways to get it. So they can decide what research they want to purchase, and they can create their own survey. There's 35 different questions they can choose from, and they have to choose 5. And so I can go in and try to figure out what questions are going to give me the answers that I want. And if I can't fit enough, because I can only choose 5 out of the 35 questions to be an effective survey, I can go back and say, well, I can't quite answer this question, so I'm going to buy this research and do that as well. So those are the 2 tasks that they have. So this is what I'm going to do. I've already run the simulation and I have results. When students are finished with a round and they're in a future round, they can always go and look at previous rounds. So if I was in round 3 and I was ordering sample backpacks, I could go back and look at my results from round 2 and kind of look at those results to determine what I wanted to do going forward. So students have this capability to go and look at past rounds results. What you have as an instructor, so students, they have to run the simulation and play round by round. They can't go back around unless you as the instructor goes and sends them back around. They have to click run simulation. But for me, since I've already done that, I'm going to jump ahead using this. So as an instructor, if you're an instructor and you're previewing the simulation for yourself, you can actually navigate between any rounds in the simulation that you want without completing the previous rounds. The scoring won't be quite right, but you can go in and preview whatever rounds you want to preview. So I'm going to jump ahead to round 2. And in this round, we're identifying a target persona. So we go through, we've got our scenario video, emails in our inbox, and notifications hub again. And they'll get different feedback if they get it wrong or get it right. So now they're coming up with a target persona. Each round, depending on the round, will have different resources. Right now, we've got the research that I've purchased. We've got competitive analysis. We can see what the price and the features are on some of our competitors' products. And then there's specific customer interviews. There's 5 different interviews from customers, different age groups and everything. And it'll tell them, what, main features that they want in a bag. Because they're, coming up next round, we're actually going to be designing and getting sample backpacks and designing an actual product with these specific features that we're finding out. And so students can always look at these and say, okay, and look at their market research and really determine what they think their target persona is. If students run this round and they were way off on their target persona, they picked the wrong age, which actually I got this way wrong when I submitted my results. In fact, I'll show you. So they're going to be doing a target persona and a value proposition where, you're actually picking a tagline, a call to action for the website, for the landing page, an image, some different features to highlight, and then running the simulation. So my results for chapter 2 were not that great. I didn't pick the right demographics and psychographics by a long shot. But my future rounds were still good. And the reason why is because there's a little bit of a course correction. As we move into round 3, some students might get it right the first time and do really well. But in our inbox this time, we've got the ideal value proposition. So in our resources, I'll pull this up. Here's the ideal target persona. So even if they get it wrong, they're going to get from Altruistic Angels and their own research team the ideal target persona that will help them in future rounds when they actually start purchasing bags and designing products based on that target persona. So hopefully this is all making sense so far. If not, please, again, post any questions you have in the chat. So now at this point, we are evaluating different manufacturers and ordering sample backpacks. So there's some instructions. They especially want to the first thing they're actually going to be doing is taking certain features and putting them into 4 categories. Things that customers have to have if they're going to buy it. Something that's, it's nice to have, it's not essential. Things they don't care about, and things that if they have it, they're not going to buy it. And so it really just kind of helps them hone in and really decide what features are really, really the most important. And then they're actually taking some sample backpacks or ordering some sample backpacks. They've got some different choices. They can purchase multiple different sample backpacks and decide what they want to do. I believe I purchased a couple of them that I thought were good, 2 or 3 of them. Small order quantities, sample backpacks where, we're kind of just doing some samples. And then they decide how they want to build their website. Now, this is really important, something that not a lot of students might know right off the bat, is there's different ways that students can decide how they want to build their website. And that's because some of them are much cheaper but take longer, and some of them are really quick but more expensive. And sometimes, depending on sales forecasts and how quickly you can start bringing in revenue, sometimes the more expensive answer is better or not. I can't tell you for sure which one is the best choice. It really kind of depends on their strategy. And that's the best part about this simulation. Something I'm really excited about is that there is no one right answer. In the next round, when they start ordering designing the product and ordering from specific manufacturers, there's countless different ways that they can approach it, different features that they can add from different manufacturers, and different lead times and different costs, and there's so many different avenues and ways that they can do a really good job. Some students can make drastically different choices than the other and come up with similar results. So the way that the simulation is designed is really, really innovative and exciting, as an educator. So For me, I chose to hire an agency. It's only 3 weeks before the website's done, and I can start selling products. It costs more, but I can make up that cost of even doing it myself, because I'll have 6 weeks of selling products, which is hopefully going to bring in more than that difference, that kind of thing. So that was kind of my thinking behind it. So jumping into round 4, this is really cool because you're actually purchasing inventory. You're forecasting future profits, so you know how much to order, and without having a whole bunch of inventory costs and stuff like that. So again, scenario, inbox, notifications hub. Let's jump right into custom backpack manufacturer. There's some really cool features in here that I want to highlight before we use up too much time. Is there's a whole bunch of different manufacturers to choose from. There's international manufacturers, usually cheaper with longer lead times. There's large domestic manufacturers, closer, shipping's a little bit quicker, but it's still not as quickly made and shipped as maybe a small domestic manufacturer, which is who I actually went with in mind. But this is the really cool interaction in this stage of the simulation is they look at different manufacturers. Different manufacturers will have different things that will cost different amounts. Sometimes it's not even an option. I like this one. It had the full color embroidered logo. But if our logo is simple, we might not need the full color. Maybe I can just go in with like the 3 colors, save myself $1.50 a bag. So there's lots of different ways that they can design these, and each manufacturer is going to have different options as to what they can provide and at what cost. And more than that, here's the really cool part, is when you go in, let's say I wanted all of these different things. I'm going to do the full waterproof treatment instead of just the waterproof cover. And I want to pay for 2 water bottle holders. And so my cost per unit is getting a little bit high. But if I go in and negotiate, and I say, hey, it's $46.50 per backpack. To lock in your price, click accept offer. Or I can negotiate. So let's see if I can get any kind of discount. Let's see if I can, if I do $38, that's like an 18% discount. That might be a little steep, but let's see what they say. So I send an offer of, how about $38 per bag? And they say, oh, that's a fair price. So that was actually quicker than I thought it was. So I can say $38 per backpack. That's almost 20% less than the original offer. So I'll accept that one. That's good. So they were willing to drop down pretty low from their original offer. So let's go to a different one, and I'll show you a different example. So here's another one. I'm going to negotiate, and they say $40.50 per bag. I'm going to say $25 per bag. So if I send that offer and they say, sorry, your offer is too low, we could do it for $38 instead of $40.50. Now, here's the really cool thing about this interaction is that it allows, it makes it so that if the student really lowballs right off the bat, it kind of makes them mad and they won't discount them as much. So I'll say, no, not 38. Let's do 32. And let's send that offer and say, no, it's too low. How about 34? So it's possible if I went in at 32, they may have accepted it or gone as low as like 33. But because I lowballed them right off the bat, they won't go as low as they would have if I had been reasonable in my negotiations. Does that make sense? So if you really lowball them, you won't get as good of a discount as if you're kind of reasonably negotiating that price. So I thought that was a really cool. And at any point, if they're like, oh, I'm not going to get a good price with these guys, they can just say, never mind. But you can only negotiate with each manufacturer once. So when you negotiate, you can kind of see what they're getting with each one. The price that I went through these guys because they had the ripstop nylon, which ranked high in the surveys, a durable zipper with no extra cost, and all this kind of adjustable shoulder and sternum for zero cost. I got the embroidered logo at zero cost, and it was $38.25 per unit. I negotiated them down to $31 per unit. So my price, I got it negotiated down really well, and that's who I ended up choosing. So once they've decided on their different, who they want to go with and what the best offer was. They go to actually forecasting demand and creating a purchase order. So sorry, my nose has been really itchy today. So right off the bat, we've created a video instruction for the students at this stage. And it will actually walk them through the negotiation and actually forecasting and seeing, how much they want to order and all of that. So students will be walked through any parts of the simulation that are a little bit more complicated. So at this point, they have a product. They're, forecasting for different sales and everything like that. So I'm going to start this over so you can see the whole process. So I've got from the distributor. So here's my maximum cost is that $31 per unit that I negotiated. I'll get an even bigger discount as I order larger quantities. Right off the bat, they might not be ordering that much. But if I order that much at once, I'll get a much lower cost. I'll pay less in shipping. But my weekly sales has to be enough to kind of justify the amount that I'm ordering. Because right now we're just doing direct sales. We'll get into distributors and retail stores a little bit later in the simulation, but direct sales. So once I've decided, all right, marketing spend is going to be pretty heavy early on. I'm going to order 3,000 units every 6 weeks, which is actually a little bit high. And then I calculate forecast, and it will actually give me a spreadsheet of what my inventory will look like. So it's a 4-week lead time. So we're already a few weeks in, and then I get my product, and at my sales forecast, 4 weeks is a little bit short. I'll still have 770 in inventory when my next order comes in. So maybe I want to order a little bit less than that. And that'll be a little bit closer to where I want to be. But anyway, and then at that point, I generate a purchase order. If I like my forecast, I like where my numbers are going. If I forecasted well, here's my total cost. So I'm going to be dipping into my credit a little bit and counting on my sales to make up for that. I click save. Now my purchase order is locked in, and I go in and I set a retail price. And I choose my advertising channels. So I did a whole bunch. I did some streaming audio. I did some social media, streaming TV, some Google ads, had different amounts for each one. I go in and I run simulation, and it's going to calculate all these different variables and different factors and give me results at the end of it. So for my round 4, I did not do well. I will tell you that much right now. My operating income is 40 grand in the hole this first round when I played through it. But I get to see, hey, here's my annualized revenue at this point, and my multiple. So here's my stake in the company. Here's my cash flow report. So my ending cash was not great for this time, but they get full reports on how well they're doing. My sales did not go well enough, and so I had to dip into a line of credit in order to stay above water at this point in the simulation. And so this is the really fun part. They get to see how each of their advertising budgets went. Streaming audio, not bad. I tripled my investment right there, or just about. Social media did really well. I only spent $8,300 and got almost 90,000 in revenue. Streaming TV, I barely got back what I put into it. Search ads, Google ads, again, I almost 10x'd my ROI on that one. So it gives your students some really, really cool, input on all of these different factors that make a business successful, from advertising, where you advertise, where your target market is, all these different things. So this is obviously something that would be like, if you're teaching a semester class on entrepreneurship, this is something that would, the simulation would be something that your students are doing around a week over the course of a long time. Really kind of give them time to forecast and really kind of work at this. I'm kind of skipping ahead. It looks a little overcomplicated because we're not actually watching the videos and reading the instructions and everything like that. But for me, this is really exciting for students to have access to something like this. So round 5, it's just a chance to kind of optimize. The same kind of scenario where they're creating a purchase order, they're forecasting their sales. They can look at where their forecast was before and how much leftover inventory they had at the end of the last time and everything like that. So they can kind of adjust their forecast every quarter and see where hopefully they'll end up if their sales are matching their forecasts. And a lot of that will depend on their advertising and how much they're budgeting for advertising and everything like that as well. And then here's the purchase order I generated, retail price, advertising. So round 5 is just a way for them to kind of look at the results from round 4 and say, well, I'm going to adjust my advertising because this didn't work and this did. So I'll put more of my advertising dollars towards that. But the way that this simulation is set up, there's so much that the students have to choose from. Like I said, students can make completely different decisions, but end up with about the same results. So round 5 is just kind of optimization. Round 6, they're still optimizing. See, at this point in the sim, I'm not doing well at all. I'm 300,000 in the hole. But this is about the time where I kind of turn it around and get it back in the black right before the end. And so the other thing that they're doing, which is really cool, there's 2 features that I want to point out for the end of the simulation. One thing is they can view their cash flow. Mine looks terrible right now. My ending cash is 61,000 in the hole, but they get to see an actual cash flow tracker. Whatever round they're in, they can kind of see where their cash flow is at each round. So once they're done with the inbox notifications hub, they do the purchase order, retail price, advertising, and at the end, there's an investor pitch video. So students will actually record a little pitch video. You're pitching for other investors to come and invest in your business. We're only a few rounds away from the end of our term with Altruistic Angels. We want some more capital coming into the business to kind of get it off its feet where we want it to be. I'm obviously not in a great point for that right now, but students will actually create a video and have the chance to peer review their classmates' videos. So this is something that will automatically be assigned. It's something in the instructor portal you'll set up whether you want to require peer reviews or not. But it will allow students to record videos pitching their business to investors, and then they'll actually be able to do a peer review on their classmates' videos on how well they did. And in round 7 is when we add distribution channels. So same thing, where this is where we're starting to look at brick and mortar stores. So here's our demand and purchase order, retail price, advertising, just like the other rounds. And now we're crafting an email to go out to retail stores. And they'll get feedback on that. Let's look at my results from round 7, where I didn't do great on this one. But what the really cool thing about this feature is when students craft this email, they'll say, hey, this is a great subject line. Hey, this opening is great. This I would change. Here's what you want to make sure that you uses a positive and respectful tone, things like that. But they'll get feedback on how well they did with that email. And then they'll look at their finances and the reports and everything that they've done. Here's my sales volume. It's at least climbing, which is good. And then again, my advertising and how well it did. But they'll get feedback on how good of choices they made on each point in that email, and specific to each section of it. And now we're going to be hiring employees. So after doing our normal demand and purchase order, retail price, advertising, forecasting, and purchasing and product and advertising for that round, they will choose who they want to hire, select a position for marketing, finance, sales, supply chain, And then they get to choose brick and mortar stores. So depending on customer segments, profiles, wholesale discount rate, all that kind of stuff, they will choose different brick and mortar stores that are for their target audience. So that's in round 8. They're hiring employees. They're choosing brick and mortar stores. And now they're actually, instead of pitching to investors, they're crafting a business sales pitch. See, now I'm back in the black. I've got some actual cash flow now. I'm out of my line of credit. So this one, again, the first 3 activities, brick and mortar stores. And then just like the peer-reviewed videos for their investor pitch, now it's a bit like selling your business pitch. So they'll create a video about selling their business, and students can peer review each other's videos on how well they sold their business. And then the very last is just optimizing it, and making the absolute most of your business and getting that final report to where your valuation is, where your share of the business, how well your investors did, where they own 20% of the business, are they getting their initial investment back and then some for their time that they helped you build that business. So keeping your investors happy, obviously making sure that your valuation is high. So even students that start out really poorly in the beginning of the simulation and really struggle to make it can still recover and make it up as they go through the simulation, where I've got an ending cash balance that's a lot more healthy than where I was before, where my cash flow is looking a lot better. So that's kind of the basics of it. I got a lot more targeted in my approach as far as, all in social media and search ads, put a lot of money into the platforms that were performing best. In the earlier rounds, I spread it out quite a bit. I saw what worked and what didn't, and I started putting a lot more money towards the ones that were successfully helping. So all throughout, it'll look a little bit different, but I can't see a ranking right now because I'm the only student in this little demo course that has done anything. But once the students finish round 10, they will actually get this certificate, Mimic Entrepreneurship Certificate, and it will go through all the things that they learned as they completed this simulation. There's a share link, and they can also download it as a PDF, saying that they are Stu Kent certified in Mimic Entrepreneurship. So that's pretty much what I wanted to show you. Thank you so much for listening to me ramble on for a good 25 minutes. But it's a really exciting simulation. It's really amazing how well this simulation simulates, mimics, if you will, what real life entrepreneurial endeavor is like. So thank you very much for listening. I think I'm going to let Andy jump back on. I think he was going to have Travis hop on and talk to you guys for a bit too. But thank you very much, guys. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Joseph. That was awesome. Really awesome sim, really exciting stuff happening. Lots of cool, robust features for your students to really give them that experience that they can't get anywhere else. One thing that I've always loved about our simulations is that, like I said, they give students that experience without having them risk real money. So real awesome. So now we'll have Travis hop on and tell you guys a little bit of how you can get the sim in your class and things like that, and then we'll go to the Q&A.
Thanks, Andy. Yeah, so the best way to get access to the simulation, get pricing for your school, your situation, how many students you have, where you're at, all of those kinds of things, how we can help in your class with our course consultant and customer success manager, is to go to that link that Andy just threw in the chat. If you go to that link, you can request access, get straight into the platform, be able to set up demo courses for yourself and get going and play right through it. All of that's completely free to you as an instructor. And then the best thing about this is if you're already an all access customer, you get access to Mimic Entrepreneurship today in your class. You can get going, you can get it started. and we can kick that off. Just reach out to your customer success manager and we'll make sure you are set up and ready to go with that. The other really cool thing is the opportunity to have all access. There are now 11 simulations available through Stu Kent's platform in entrepreneurship, social media, digital, principles of marketing, everything we have. There's tons of opportunities, entrepreneurship, sports marketing. So there's so many things that you can cover in your class. And the best way to cover those is by hitting on them once in a while throughout your semester, never going too far in depth in the week, because even something fun and exciting becomes monotonous and exhausting. You want to touch on it here, come back, loop it in, get it exciting again when it's relevant to the subject you're teaching in the class. We're really excited to have this available for you. Reach out to your course consultant and we'll make sure we get you all set up. If there's any questions, please go ahead and chat them in. We can get you all taken care of.
Yeah. I'll go ahead. I'm dropping in the chat as well the link to the all access pass that Travis was talking about. Really awesome opportunity. And then also, I'm going to drop in the chat. We have 2 more kind of product launch webinars that we're hosting in November for our new simulation, Mimic Career Readiness and Mimic Public Speaking. So I'll go ahead and drop those links to register for those in the chat right now. If anyone wants to register for those, it's kind of the same exact platform. Anyways, I see a question from Lonnie kind of asking a little bit about, really seeing what the students are actually reading and everything. It's a little hard to do in this kind of platform, but I would say if you follow that first link I posted, like Travis was saying, schedule a walkthrough. You can get a one-on-one walkthrough where a course consultant will guide you directly through every part you want to see, and they'll make sure that this kind of simulation can fit with your course and everything. Yep.
Joseph, did you have more to add to Lonnie's question?
No, sorry, I was just hopping back on.
Okay.
As far as like seeing what the students see the end, are you talking about the notifications hub and seeing like the correct answers to those questions, or just throughout the sim is kind of what I'm wondering. Like the notifications hub isn't a scored interaction, but as an instructor, you can see everything the student sees the same way I was, where I was kind of previewing it in my instructor account. As an instructor in the instructor portal, you can click on any student and see all of their results and all of what they did.
Yeah. Awesome.
Great feedback. Thank you, Lonnie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, thank you. I will go ahead and as we're getting towards the end of this, we've made a kind of entrepreneurship assignment that I'm going to go ahead and post in the chat and under handouts tab on the side, and you should be able to download it. Feel free to use that. It's a fun little assignment where students will be able to analyze pain points within businesses that they know today and kind of understand that part of entrepreneurship of realizing how do we answer those kind of pain points. So feel free to download that. If you didn't know already, this webinar has been recorded and we'll be sending out an email with the recording in case you want to look through it again. I'll also send out this assignment with that recording in case you missed it. But I think we're going to end a little bit early here. I hope everyone enjoys their afternoon and they have a great one. Thanks so much for joining us.
There is one more thing I think will be helpful. Just piggybacking off of Lonnie's comment. Sorry, I know you were kind of closing out.
We're good.
Let me to answer your question, or to show you, Lonnie, because she said that she sees the 100% for completing, or a certain percentage that they see. Let me jump into the instructor portal really quick. It'll look a little bit different because I'm the only student in here that's done anything. So you can see where it's like, hey, I got 100 out of 100, or 60 out of 100. If you click on any of these, so like here I got 80 out of 100. If I click on round 2, it will load the same results that I saw when I was in the student view. So as the instructor, you can see all of those same results just in your instructor portal without, having your students log in to the actual simulation. So I wanted to show that really quick because I realized I didn't really show the instructor side of things during the walkthrough. So
Yeah, no, you're all good. Sweet. Well, I think if that's it, yep, looking at the chat. Okay, we're all good to go. I think everyone have a good afternoon. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thanks so much.
see you guys.